All right, we're doing like pirate or punk rock political theory in this video. I hope my angle and everything's okay if you guys can see me. Sorry, very adult topic. We think a term like justice, like Plato talked about, like a lot of these guys really tried to work on. We think that this is kind of like a term that, should apply to like normal intuitions. And so this came up on one of the like more adult or mature or uncouth panel shows that I sometimes do. I got a couple friends that do the show, and so it's fun to go on. And so like you can picture like a rugged ex-military guy or something like this, someone who should have an opinion about justice saying something like, well, I can get to fucking or I can get to dying, right? Not joking, right? And so this is crazy, right? Because it actually is really about justice. It's really about what we think society and life in society should be like. If I have these almost biological imperatives, these huge things I have to think about, shouldn't I be thinking about my family or reproduction or pleasure or purposeful, expensive energy, if you will? Or I can think about the other thing. I can think about risk and stuff like this. And this gets us to sort of straightening out, getting to sort of tuning up our idea and notion of what justice, at least in the room, has to or should look like. And this is a great starting point. There is a contemporary theory that's really in line with this weird idea that like a roughneck no pill guy who says, I'm gonna get to fucking or I'm gonna get to dying, and for me and mine, that's my choice. Is that like those things themselves aren't actually the things that you go to pursue or that you go do. If that's you, if you are the one that's going out to go do that stuff, I applaud you. Good luck or something, I guess. Maybe not good luck, um, but yeah, if I'm thinking about having a happy relationship, or I'm thinking about the point of my life at the end of my life or something like this, or the small points of my life, I should owe a lot. I should owe at least something into those things. I can even owe not doing some of the things I'm doing today. And that is actually how I realized what it might mean to to choose, fuck, fight, flee as my sort of my ideas, my starting point for justice. This also sort of points out the absurdity of someone like John Locke. When we talk about something like property, someone's right to ask, well, this should at least speak to this idea of fucking or fighting, right? This isn't like the PhD stuff, right? We're not talking about the ontology of the type of choice a being makes in order to get to this term. But like, what is a farm? What is an apple? Which matters more?